Greetings, Earthlings. I've been receiving the urge to share some downloads that I received, and so as to not allow it to escape my thoughts on my things to do list, I'm going to record them now. I mean, not to offend anyone, but my spirit tells me that they're not going to be able to see anything if I keep the phone back far enough to where they just see me emerging out of my water type deal. So, so a message to all of the newcomers to the spiritual community. We have to, excuse me, we have to be careful as to not disrespect the culture of those who have come before us. They have a certain system and a way of doing things, and we are to respect that and not disrupt the harmony of such things because it took them a long time, a struggle, and like a real wars to get the guidelines in place. It took a long time for both sides to agree on certain things. And so, there was wars and stuff like that that happened previously. And if we don't honor the system, it's like dishonoring those who lost their lives in the fight to bring about the system. That doesn't mean that there's not a better way of doing things. That just means that the people before us are equally as great as us. They're equally as in tune to the divine. They shared some of the same experiences, you know what I'm saying? Being called to God. Maybe they didn't recognize it in that context, but some of the same experiences that have happened to us happened to them. It's a cycle. It's, what God does, you know, type of thing. And so we are to respect everything that has come before us because it's divine, right? If it was righteous enough to be put in place, if it was righteous enough to be a part of the community, of the spiritual community, then we are to respect that. If nothing else, you don't have to harbor the same belief system as those before you. You don't have to harbor, the same stance politically, or we know that was like everybody laughed. Everybody laughed when I said politically because we all know us spiritual beings, us beings who are in tune, who are aware on any level whatsoever, we know that the only system that matters is that of the divine, is the God system, right? So that system that they have in place is a circus, and it is full of clowns. However, some clowns are more attractive and more connected to the energy of the divine than others. And so the whole system is attractive because of that, because of the players involved, right? But we know spiritually, no one has any control over you except for save for yourself and God. which basically is one and the same. But you are not God. You are connected to the force. You are connected to God, the energy, so much so that it will confuse some and make some think to themselves, oh, I'm God, because I can do these magnificent things, unaware of the fact that they have been privileged to the access of the power of God. And the privilege is just that, it's a privilege. And when we violate the laws of privilege, we lose the privilege. Just as easily as you have been gifted a gift, it can be removed for violation and to help you to understand that it is outside of yourself. It's a force outside of yourself. It's a force far more extravagant, attractive, sexy, sophisticated. All of these beautiful words that you can use to describe a beautiful person. But the gift is God. It's a godly honor that must be held with a specific conduct of code, a specific code of conduct. Yep. But sometimes we let our ego get the best of us, and we start thinking that it is I who's doing these things. It is I who's attracting this attention. It is I who have, I'm the reason why I have this many views or that many views, unaware that it is all the power of the divine, right? They're attracted to the God spark within inside of you. It's not you personally. And if the God spark is removed, they will no longer be attracted to you. So there's this tug of war with our ego, but only when we defeat the urge of vanity do we accomplish balance and are rewarded with the honor to continuously hold our spiritual position and therefore keep the gift. You have to be honorable enough to receive the gift. And if you dishonor that connection, the gift is removed. It's done to help you understand that it is from God, and as easily as it has been given to you, it can be taken away from you if you do not conduct yourself to a certain set of laws, spiritual laws. So that's why you see people, they'll rise to fame and they'll have a time where they're famous and then they'll fall. The fall only happens. Well, okay, now I'm being told So the fall sometimes happens. The fall can happen when you lose the battle with your ego. But there'll be plenty of opportunities to fall because in order to be honorable enough to harness the gifts of God, you have to be of a certain caliber and you have to be able to withstand the unwithstandable. Everyone has a limit. Your limit has to be higher above that. You know, everyone has a limit to where they can go before they snap or whatever. You have to be without limits. Oh wow, you have to be without limit. You have to. Your faith in the perfection of God's will protects you from caring too much about anything. And so, therefore, you don't get stressed. You don't undergo anxiety and all of these things because you know that everything happens according to God's will and that God's will is perfection. So for you to fret over what is happening in your life is kind of like not having faith in God. However, there are certain things that we must do in order to produce a certain way of life that we would like to have. So it's a combination of free will and God's will. God's will gave you free will, and your choices determine your reality. Your choices determine your reality, which means that you are ultimately have a level of control of your reality. Power given to you by God and must be respected as such, because when you disrespect it, you lose it. So, yeah, you can produce the reality that you want, but if you abuse that power in any shape, form, or fashion at any time in your existence, it can and will be revoked, but you can always get it back. No, they said not always, but most of the time. Okay. Most of the time you can get it back. Some things are final. Some laws are unforgivable if you break them type deal. I don't even want to know what that could possibly be. Like that is terrifying because when you think about how forgiving God really is, when you think about how many chances he's willing to give you, when you think about how many opportunities he's willing to produce you with, when you think about how much love that he's willing to put in your path, it's scary that there is something that we can do that is unforgivable and you can't come back from. That's scary. I don't even want to know what it is. It's gotta be like just when you hear it, it's have to put you on a frequency of complete mental chaos. Like a psychotic psychosis. Because it's that horrific. Right? But where was I? Yeah. So we are to respect our elders. And that means obliging by their culture. I'll give you an example. If you, said person, was to allow a spiritual being to put their energy, you pay the spiritual being to put protective energy inside of an object so that you can purchase. When you get that object, it's up to you to properly cleanse your space and introduce that energy to the energies that are already in place. There has to be an introduction, and it is up to you. And you have to have the follow through. You can't allow somebody to put energy into something and then either not accept or not utilize the object. This hinders the energy of the person who put it in there, and you will cause them distress. And you thinking that they don't know is disrespectful to spiritual beings everywhere, because that's like saying I have the connection and you don't have the connection. So yes, they know. They are aware that you have not been properly utilizing an object that they put their energy into, because it's tugging on their energy. Not in a positive way, by the way. So it's up to you to rectify that. Properly introduce the energy of that object to the energy of the objects that you already have in place, and create harmony amongst the energies. It is vital. Yes, vital. If you do not do this, it's like disrespecting God. Right? Because there's nothing that the person who put the energy into the object that they sold to you, there's absolutely nothing they can do about what they're going through. Because what they're going through is due to their direct connection to God. See? So it makes it, they could like you a lot. But if you do something like that, there's nothing that they can do to further assist you until you rectify that. Right? Thank God for second chances. Thank God for free will and the ability to be able to rectify when you are dishonoring the will of God. And now I have to actually clean, and they say, y'all can't see that part. And I'm sure my wife would agree.